Well, the bottom line is the Labor Party will always talk down the Australian economy, and they'll be very opportunistic and reckless in trying to attack what the Independent Reserve Bank Board has decided to do. And you're right, they have reduced interest rates by 25 basis points down to 0.75%. But what they pointed out in their statement is that there has been a gentle turning point in the domestic economy, and they pointed to the benefits from the tax cuts that the Labor Party actually opposed, as well as the interest rate cuts and the stabilisation we've seen in the domestic housing market. And it's good news for Australian households if their value of the family home, often their number one asset, has gone up. But the challenge for the economy right now is that domestically we're seeing the effects of a punishing drought as well as the floods. And internationally, the US-China trade tensions have weighed negatively on the global economic outlook. That being said, the Australian economy, Paul, continues to grow. We've still got our AAA credit rating, and we've just delivered the first balanced budget in 11 years.
What about Jim Chalmers, your opposite number, the bloke who would like to be Treasurer one day? Well, he's out there saying that, well, bugger a budget surplus, let's do something and do something now. Effectively what? A repeat of the Kevin Rudd $900 for everyone. He says, if not that, then maybe an increase in the dole, or if not, maybe this payment or that payment. What's your response to what he says that, look, don't wait for the Reserve Bank to do something, don't wait for tax cuts to phase in over years, but find a way to send people money now?
Well, Jim Chalmers learnt everything he knows from the feet of Wayne Swan, and we know what a bad treasurer Swan was and the mess that he left the Australian economy in. And the fact is, Chalmers said that our tax cuts were offensive, and he said he was proud and pleased of the housing tax and the retirees tax that Labor took to the last election. And together with Chris Bowen, he was the co-architect as the then Shadow Finance Minister of $387 billion of higher taxes. So the Labor Party has no credibility when it comes to the economy. They'll always be the party of higher taxes. They don't believe in balanced budgets or indeed surplus budgets, because the last one they delivered was when the Berlin Wall was still standing back in 1989. And we know on our side of politics that we will cut taxes as we've done, we will create jobs, and we will deliver the surplus as promised to the Australian people. The other thing I'd say, Paul, is I saw Jim Chalmers on the weekend talk about wanting to learn the lessons of Labor's defeat. Well, it's hard to take that seriously when $387 billion is still on the Labor Party's books. It's still their policy to have all those higher taxes. So Jim Chalmers may change his language from dropping the top end of town rhetoric, but he certainly hasn't changed his tune.
But in terms of stimulus, is there a break glass in case of emergency plan that you and the Prime Minister have? And if so, how close are we to breaking the glass before next May's budget?
Well, we've just passed the biggest tax cuts in more than 20 years. I mean, it's very significant what we've done, and more than $18 billion, Paul, has made its way out of the ATO into the pockets of hard-working Australians, and that's a 30% jump on the same time last year in relation to refunds. So we are seeing the impact of that money play out across the economy. As I said, we've seen a stabilisation in the housing market. The RBA today has pointed to more mining investment, and we're rolling out a $100 billion infrastructure plan, which is the biggest spending package on infrastructure the country's ever seen. So these are all substantial measures that are underway. But you know, we believe as Liberals and Nationals that future generations shouldn't pay higher taxes for today's spending. So that's why we believe in balanced budgets and surplus budgets, and that's why we'll deliver that, whereas the Labor Party keep, racking up debt on the nation's credit card, hoping that one day someone pays it back.
Good man. I'm glad you're there, and thank God it's you and Scott Morrison for the next 3 years, not what it would have been Bowen and even potentially Chalmers around the table. Thank you so much, Treasurer.
Good to be with you, Paul.